In the complex calculus of modern air power, there exists a pervasive and comfortable narrative, one that defines the fifth generation of aerial combat by a specific set of inviolable rules. All-aspect stealth, network-centric data fusion, and the doctrinal primacy of first look, first shot. By this rigid Western definition, the Sukhoi Su-57, Russia's first purported stealth fighter, is an abject failure. Its NATO reporting name, Felon, is often invoked with a sneer, a fitting moniker for a program beset by compromise, delay, and disaster. The evidence for this failure is seemingly overwhelming. Its development, which began as the PAC-FA program, has been a protracted two-decade ordeal, with a maiden flight in 2010 leading to a token service entry only in December 2020. This timeline was tragically punctuated by the crash of the very first production aircraft before it was even delivered, a moment of profound programmatic humiliation. Its international ambitions collapsed when India, its primary partner and financier, withdrew from the co-development project, citing, among many other concerns, the stark fact that the fifth-generation jet was being presented without a fifth-generation engine. This is an omission akin to selling a Formula One car while noting the final engine is still on the drawing board and offering a promising but interim go-kart motor as a stand-in. And before we go any deeper, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments which aircraft you'd like to see covered next. Your suggestions shape what comes next in this series. Most critically, its fundamental claim to fifth-generation status, stealth, is deeply suspect. While Western counterparts like the F-22 boast a radar cross-section estimated at a marble-sized 0.001 square meters, estimates for the Su-57 in a clean configuration range from 0.1 to 0.5 square meters, or around 0.3 square meters, orders of magnitude larger. Analysts point to its less than optimized rear aspect, visible engine fans, and a baffling tolerance for exposed rivets and seams as proof of a compromised design. This failure narrative is cemented by its operational record in the Russo-Ukrainian War. Rather than dominating the skies, the Su-57 fleet, a boutique force numbering perhaps 2 to 3 dozen operational airframes in total, has been used with extreme caution. It functions almost exclusively as a standoff missile launcher, firing cruise missiles from the relative safety of Russian airspace, far from the reach of Ukrainian air defenses. Its "don't scratch the paint" deployment was starkly illustrated when Ukrainian drones struck and damaged one of these irreplaceable assets on the ground at Akhtubinsk airfield, 589 kilometers from the front lines. And yet this entire line of reasoning, while factually correct, may be dangerously myopic. This is a category error. To dismiss the Su-57 as a failed F-22 is to assume it was ever trying to be one. It is not a networked quarterback in the sky like the F-35, a sensor-fused node in a system of systems. The Felon is an outlaw. It is a hybrid warrior, an autonomous hunter-killer engineered from a fundamentally different military philosophy. It is a system designed not to play the Western fifth-generation game, but to break it. Its danger lies not in its adherence to the rules, but in its profound, asymmetric, and lethal nonconformance. This doctrinal schism is not a matter of abstract theory. It is physically cast into the composite materials and aerodynamic architecture of the aircraft itself. The Su-57 is built around an integral aerodynamic configuration, a sophisticated blended wing-body design that merges the fuselage and wings into a single, cohesive lifting surface. This architecture, which makes up about 25% of the airframe's weight in composite materials, is hyper-efficient, generating immense lift. But this efficiency is the result of the grand compromise that defines the entire aircraft. The design explicitly prioritizes aerodynamics and kinematic performance over all-aspect radar signature reduction. The original Russian design requirement famously stipulated 3 S's: super maneuverability, supercruise, and stealth. Crucially, as Russian aviation figures later admitted, it was understood that stealth was not to be implemented at the expense of supermaneuverability. This genetic code is most visible in the aircraft's unique leading-edge vortex controllers, or levcons. These are not simple canards, but complex, all-moving surfaces at the wing root. Numerical studies confirm their function is to precisely manage vortex lift. At extreme angles of attack, these levcons deflect to redistribute the vortex systems, delaying vortex breakdown and providing a dramatic 10 to 19% increase in lift. This, combined with its all-moving stabilizers, allows the Su-57 to maintain stability and, most importantly, control at angles of attack exceeding 60 degrees. This is not an abstract capability. It is a physical, mechanical, and maintenance-heavy commitment to a phase of combat that Western doctrine deems a mission failure: the merge. The F-35 is designed to ensure a dogfight never happens. The Su-57, with its levcons and agility-focused airframe, is built to win that very dogfight, leveraging its ability to point its weapons at an adversary even in a post-stall regime where a conventional airframe would be an uncontrollable brick. This obsession with extreme kinematic performance, however, is directly responsible for the program's most infamous and debilitating compromise: its engines. The entire operational Su-57 fleet is currently powered by the interim Saturn AL-41F1. This engine is not a new design. It is a derivative of the AL-41F1S found in the 4.5 generation Su-35, which itself is a deep modernization of the Soviet-era AL-31F. With a thrust of approximately 86 kilonewtons dry and 142 to 145 kilonewtons in afterburner, its most critical feature is its three-dimensional axis-symmetric or round-thrust vectoring nozzles. These nozzles, which can move in any direction, provide the phenomenal pitch, roll, and yaw authority that Sukhoi designers prized, a feature they specifically cited as lacking in the F-22 and which enables the jet's signature supermaneuverability. But this agility comes at a crippling cost. The AL-41F1 is a repurposed fourth-generation engine. It is heavy, inefficient, and lacks the raw power to achieve the second S: true, sustained supercruise. It was this failure, the arrival of a fifth-gen airframe with a 4.5-gen engine, that was a primary factor in India's withdrawal from the program. The promised engine, the one that has existed only on paper for over a decade, is the Izdalia 30, or AL-51F. This is the second-stage engine, a true clean-sheet design that has been in testing since at least 2016. It is expected to be a revolutionary leap, offering significantly higher thrust, a claimed 176 kilonewtons, far greater fuel efficiency, reduced weight, and a smaller infrared signature. This is the engine that will finally unlock the Su-57's supercruise potential, allowing it to sustain speeds of Mach 1.3 to 1.6 without its fuel-guzzling afterburner. This engine is the heart of the modernized Su-57M variant, which is expected to enter production in 2025. Yet, in a twist that reveals the program's entire internal conflict, this new AL-51F engine is being tested with an entirely new nozzle, a two-dimensional flat nozzle geometrically similar to that of the F-22 Raptor. This is a tectonic shift in design philosophy. The three-dimensional axisymmetric nozzles are superior for agility, but are a barn door for radar and infrared signatures, an exposed, glowing circle that is a catastrophe for rear aspect stealth. The two-dimensional flat nozzles are worse for agility. They sacrifice all-axis yaw control for simple pitch vectoring, but are vastly superior for reducing radar and infrared signatures. This late-stage engineering pivot is a fundamental admission of the baseline Su-57's critical flaw: Sukhoi is actively choosing to sacrifice its prized supermaneuverability to correct the grand compromise, belatedly plugging the massive hole in its rear aspect stealth. This late-stage engineering pivot underscores the Felon's core paradox. It is a platform defined by its weaknesses just as much as its strengths. And it is this fundamental vulnerability in its physical stealth that forced its designers to create what may be the most lethal and sophisticated counter-stealth sensor suite ever put into the air. The aircraft's brain is the Su-121 Multifunctional Integrated Radio-Electronic System, a complex architecture designed to fuse data from an unprecedented array of sensors. The eyes of this system are the N-036 Bielka radar suite. On paper, its main N-036 1-1-01 nose-mounted X-band AESA radar is almost unimpressive. Its 1514 to 1552 transmit-receive modules are fewer than the F-22's roughly 1956 modules. But the Bielka is not one radar. It is a distributed system of 5 arrays. The first revolutionary components are the two N-036B 101 X-band AESA radars with 358 to 404 transmit-receive modules each, mounted on the cheeks of the forward fuselage. These side-looking arrays enable a tactic that is impossible for a conventional fighter: offensive beaming. Beaming is typically a defensive maneuver where a pilot flies perpendicular to an enemy's Doppler radar, registering zero relative velocity and disappearing from their scope. The downside is that in doing so, the pilot also turns their own nose and radar 90 degrees away, losing their own lock. The Su-57's cheek radars solve this. The pilot can beam an F-35's radar, a defensive move, while simultaneously using the side-looking N-036B array to maintain a weapons-grade lock and guide a missile, all without ever pointing their nose at the target. It turns a defensive survival tactic into an offensive kill. The second revolutionary component, and the true stealth killer, is the pair of N-036L 1 L-band ISE arrays built directly into the wing's leading edges. This is the strategic game-changer. Western stealth technology, F-22, F-35, is physically and mathematically optimized to be low observable against high-frequency X-band radar. It is fundamentally less effective against low-frequency L-band radar. The longer wavelengths of L-band interact with the aircraft's physical surfaces, fins, tails, wing edges, in a way that radar-absorbent materials cannot easily defeat. The trade-off has always been that L-band, while it can see stealth, provides a fuzzy, low-resolution picture unsuitable for guiding a missile. But the Su-57's Su-121 brain fuses the data. The L-band array is not a fire control radar. It is a tripwire. It passively scans, detects a fuzzy contact at long range, and classifies it, for example, stealth target in this grid square. This cue is then silently passed to the aircraft's other sensors, allowing them to conduct a narrow, high-resolution search. The Su-57 can find a stealth fighter without ever having to light up the sky with its own powerful and easily detectable X-band search radar. It hunts in the dark. This L-band tripwire is the first component of a sophisticated passive hunt philosophy. The second, and far more controversial component, is the 101KS Atoll electro-optical system. This suite begins with the 101KS-V infrared search and track system. This is the glass ball mounted directly in front of the cockpit, a design choice that is a stealth purist's nightmare. This flagrantly unstealthy reflective sphere, another classic Sukhoi compromise, is claimed to rotate backward and be ram-coated when not in use. But its function is critical. Its advanced quantum well-imaging photodetector is the magnifying glass to the L-band's tripwire, capable of passively detecting and tracking the heat signature of an F-22 or F-35 once the L-band has indicated where to look. The Atoll suite also includes the 101 KSU, a set of ultraviolet missile approach warning sensors distributed across the airframe to provide 360-degree detection of incoming missile plumes. These sensors act as the trigger for the Su-57's killer app and its most unique defensive feature, the 101 KSO directional infrared countermeasure system. This hard-kill active defense, a feature no Western fighter possesses, consists of 2 or more turrets, one on the dorsal spine, one under the chin, that fire a modulated laser beam directly into the seeker head of an incoming infrared missile. When the 101 KSU detects a launch, the 101 KSO turrets automatically swivel, lock onto the missile, and blind it, causing it to lose its lock and fly harmlessly past. This is not a dumb flare, which acts as a distraction. This is an active, offensive defense. It is, in effect, a get-out-of-jail-free card, a system that makes the Su-57 functionally immune to the primary close-range weapons like the M9X Sidewinder used in the very merge that its airframe is designed to dominate. This completes the counter-stealth kill chain. The L-band finds the target. The IRST tracks it. The L-402 Himalaya's electronic warfare suite, which uses its own arrays in the tail sting and can even co-opt the NO-36 radar arrays, jams the F-35's radar to prevent it from searching back. The DRCM defeats its missiles. The Felon can hunt, track, and kill its target, all while remaining electronically and thermally silent. This complete defensive and counter-stealth sensor suite makes the Su-57 a terrifyingly survivable platform, but survivability does not equal lethality. The danger of the aircraft is realized only by its weapons, and its weapons bays reveal its true doctrine-killing purpose. Sukhoi's designers, in addressing what they saw as a limitation of the F-22, built the Su-57 with 2 cavernous tandem main internal bays, each approximately 4.4 meters long and 0.9 meters wide. They are noted as being significantly deeper and more voluminous than their American counterparts, and this was a deliberate choice. While these bays can carry the new standard BVR missile, the R-37 or Izdeliye 180, which features an advanced AESA radar seeker, making it highly resistant to jamming, their real purpose is to hold a new generation of extreme-range doctrine killers. The first of these is the Vimpel R-37M, or RVV-BD. This is the AWACS-killer. It is a 510-kilogram, 4-meter-long monster capable of flying at Mach 6 to ranges of 300 to 400 kilometers. A specialized version with folding fins, the Izdeliye 810, is designed to fit inside the Su-57's bays. The tactical implication is terrifying. Western air doctrine is a system of systems that is critically dependent on a small number of large, fragile, high-value assets like AWACS, tankers, and rivet joints. These are the quarterbacks and gas stations for the F-35 fleet. The R-37M has a range that is more than double that of the West's AM-120D. This means a passively hunting Su-57 can sneak within 400 kilometers of an HVA and launch a Mach 6 decapitation strike, killing the AWACS from 200 kilometers beyond the maximum engagement range of its F-35 fighter escort. It doesn't need to fight the F-35s, it just needs to blind and starve them. This same asymmetric philosophy applies to its air-to-ground role, which has been its primary mission in Ukraine. Its bays are configured to carry the K-58 Yush-KE, a Mach 3.6 anti-radiation missile with folding fins, allowing a stealthy Su-57 to hunt and destroy enemy SAM batteries. They also house the new KH-69, originally KH-59MK2, a stealthy cruise missile with a 400-kilometer range that flies at a 20-meter altitude to evade radar. But killing the brain of the network is only one of the Felon's asymmetric roles. The other is to serve as a hypersonic truck, a role for which its compromised stealth becomes almost irrelevant. Senior Russian military officials, including the first Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Aerospace Forces, have stated that the Su-57 is being equipped with hypersonic weapons. The weapon in question is believed to be an air-launched derivative of the M22 Zircon, a naval scramjet-powered missile that can achieve speeds of Mach 9 and strike targets 1,000 kilometers away. The Su-57 is the only platform in the Russian inventory that combines the stealth, bay size, and with the Izdeliye-30 engine, the supercruise capability to serve as a survivable launch vector for a weapon that no current air defense system can stop. This is not just theory. Recent operations in Ukraine have reportedly seen the Su-57 testing a new class of weapon, informally dubbed the Su-71K or Kh-71K. This is described as a hybrid missile drone, a small air-launched, jet-powered loitering munition using the TRDD-50 engine with an exceptionally low radar cross-section of its own, claimed 0.007 square meters. The Su-57 is not just a fighter. It is a first-strike test bed for weapons that are intended to make traditional air defenses obsolete. These weapon systems, the R-37, the Zircon, the Su-71K, are the core of the most dangerous argument. Yet they must be reconciled with the Felon's almost pathetic operational reality. Its boutique fleet and its don't-scratch-the-paint combat record. With only a handful of operational jets and a glacial production rate, 6 jets in 2022, 12 in 2023, with a target of 20 in 2024, Russia's most advanced fighter is, for now, a strategic non-factor. But this cautious deployment is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that the Su-57 is being used as a high-stakes research and development platform in a live-fire environment. Recent 2025 reports indicate whole formations are now flying coordinated missions, with one jet providing R-37M cover while a pair launches Kh-69s. This is not air dominance. This is testing the tactics for the next war. And the doctrine for that war is manned-unmanned teaming. The Su-57's true sixth-generation defining role is to serve as the leader aircraft, a command and control node for the S-70, Okhotnik B, or Hunter. The Okhotnik is not a small drone. It is a 20-ton, jet-powered, heavy stealth, unmanned combat aerial vehicle with a flying wing design. The doctrine, already in flight testing, calls for a single Su-57 to control a swarm of 2 to 4 Okhotniks. These loyal wingmen will fly ahead of the manned fighter, acting as decoys, jammers, advanced sensors, and strike platforms. This allows Russia to project force asymmetrically, sending the attritable S-70s into the most dangerous airspace, while the irreplaceable Su-57 and its human pilot remain safely behind the front lines. This doctrine is so central to the platform's future that a two-seat variant of the Su-57 is now in development for the specific purpose of adding a weapons system officer in the back seat to manage the drone swarm. This loyal wingman concept finally brings the Su-57's entire contradictory design into sharp focus. The jet is not a fifth-generation fighter in the Western sense. It is an asymmetric doctrine-killer and a bridge to the sixth generation. The F-35 is a networked quarterback, the linchpin of a system of systems. The Su-57 Felon is the assassin, the doctrinal outlaw built to break that system. It is designed to cheat the rules of fifth-generation warfare. It counters stealth with its L-band radar and passive IRST. It counters dogfighting missiles with its hard-kill laser DIRCM. It counters the network by sniping the AWACS and tankers from 400 kilometers with the Mach 6 R-37M. It counters air defenses by launching uninterceptable Mach 9 hypersonic weapons like the Zircon. And it counters numerical inferiority by multiplying its force with heavy stealth UCAVs. This is a platform that, by its very design, refuses to fight fair. Its future modernization path only deepens this philosophy, with plans to integrate a radio-optical phased array radar, or ROFAR, a photonic radar that purportedly uses light to generate TV-quality images of targets at 500 kilometers, another attempt to leapfrog Western ESA technology rather than match it. The Su-57 in service today, with its interim engines and minuscule fleet, is a shadow of this concept. It is not the best fighter in the world, but the fully realized Su-57, the one with Izdeliye 30 engines, Zircon missiles, and Okhotnik wingmen, is, on paper, a monster. And that idea, the one being proven in combat over Ukraine, is what makes the Felon the most dangerous jet alive. To understand the Su-57's significance, we must look beyond the aircraft itself and examine the geopolitical forces behind its creation. The Felon is a product of Russia's post-Soviet military-industrial fragmentation. After 1991, critical aerospace facilities were scattered across new borders, Ukraine producing transports and missile systems, Belarus supplying optics and electronics. Rebuilding these capabilities domestically forced Russia to pursue painful import substitution, which explains the Su-57's long delays and development struggles. India's withdrawal from the program was especially damaging, removing both funding and international validation, and exposing the platform's limitations and underfunding. Yet framing the Felon purely as a failure misses its deeper logic. Russian fighter design has always reflected a doctrine expecting degraded networks, poor situational awareness, and numerical inferiority. Where Western jets rely on sensor fusion and data dominance, Soviet and Russian aircraft emphasize rugged autonomy, strong kinematic performance, and survivability without external support. The Su-57 continues this lineage. Sprawling passive sensors, hard-kill defenses, and systems built to operate effectively even when electronic warfare cripples communications. Its L-402 Himalayas suite reflects Russia's belief that electronic warfare is an offensive weapon. Instead of merely protecting the aircraft, its distributed arrays and radar-based jamming aim to blind and disrupt the enemy before missiles are fired. Communication systems are optimized for contested electromagnetic environments, using directional and optical links suitable for lone wolf operations rather than fully networked formations. This design challenges assumptions about an Su-57 versus F-35 confrontation. Western analysis assumes the F-35 wins by seeing and shooting first, but if the Su-57's L-band sensors detect the F-35 earlier, it can maneuver to close range, exploiting IRS and high off-bore sight weapons. Even if fired upon first, its advanced countermeasures provide defensive options the F-35 lacks. While stealth and sensor fusion remain major U.S. advantages, the fight is less one-sided than often claimed. The Felon has asymmetric paths to victory that bypass the F-35's strengths. This asymmetry becomes strategic with the planned integration of Zircon hypersonic missiles. A low observable fighter launching Mach 9 weapons from standoff distances could threaten high-value targets like carriers or command infrastructure with defenses unable to intercept reliably. Even a small fleet could alter deterrence dynamics in regional conflicts. Su-57 teaming with the Okhotnik drone further enhances its threat. Unlike the U.S. focus on expendable loyal wingmen, Russia is pursuing a heavy, stealthy unmanned partner, creating hunter-killer teams that can probe defenses while the manned aircraft commands. Production capacity remains a major question, but the doctrinal leap is clear: mass effects without massed platforms. Ultimately, the Su-57 embodies a different way of war. Western forces assume technological superiority and intact networks. Russia assumes the opposite: chaos, isolation, and contested spectrum. The Felon is dangerous not because it surpasses Western jets in absolute metrics, but because it is optimized for exactly the scenarios where Western air power is weakest: close, unpredictable, and deprived of its information edge.